This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Welcome to Echoes in the Black, a solo role-playing story told using the Shadow Dark role-playing game from the Arcane Library, where darkness presses close, resources run thin, and survival is never guaranteed. This is a real solo role-playing game campaign, and the dice are honest here. What they decide stands. After all, the dice whisper, fate. The season is called The Crown Below, a story of ancient power and the consequences of digging too deep. Some who walk into the dark tonight may not walk out again. So let's return to the black, where the past is closer than it seems. The banners of Ireland hung limp in the smoke-choked air, their once bright colours dulled by ash and blood. The final battle had started at dawn, and by dusk the field was a graveyard of armour, broken spears, and exhausted men. Victory tasted like iron and regret. Rowan Kelsey stood amongst his fellow soldiers, mud up to his knees, helm tucked under one arm. He looked nothing like the son of a duke, and that was the point. He had chosen the mud, the sweat, the anonymity. He had chosen to earn his place, but the Duke of Ireland had other ideas. The Duke's retinue approached through the haze, polished armour, clean cloaks, and the unmistakable air of command. At their head rode Sir Tynor Gildane, newly knighted, the Duke's golden son in all but blood. His armour gleamed despite the carnage. His posture was perfect, his expression carved from stone. "Rowan," Tynor said, his voice clipped. "Your father summoned you." Rowan followed him to the command pavilion, where the Duke stood over a campaign map, surrounded by officers. He didn't look up when Rowan entered. "You refused your commission," the Duke said flatly. No greeting, no warmth. "Your command, your birthright." Rowan swallowed. "I didn't refuse, You turned it down in front of my officers," the Duke snapped, finally lifting his gaze. "You shamed our house." Rowan felt the old heat rising, the same heat that had burned through every argument since childhood. "We wanted to serve as a soldier, not as a symbol, not as your—" "A soldier?" Tynor cut in, stepping forward. "You think this is about humility? You think the men respect you more for wallowing in the ranks? You insult every officer who earned their place." Rowan stared at him. "I thought you, of all people, would understand." Tynor's jaw tightened. "I did, once." The Duke slammed a gauntleted fist onto the table. "Enough. You will accept the commission. You will take the command, and you will stop embarrassing this family." Rowan's voice came out quieter than he expected. "I won't take the command. I didn't earn it. It's not mine." Silence fell like a blade. Tynor's eyes flashed with something sharp. Betrayal, anger, maybe even hurt. "You spit on everything your father offered you. Everything he offered us." Rowan blinked. "Us?" The Duke stepped around the table, stopping inches from his son. "Tynor understands duty, loyalty, sacrifice. He has earned his knighthood. He has earned my trust." The implication hung in the air like smoke. Rowan felt it like a blow. The Duke's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "If you will not serve Ireland as an officer, then you will not serve Ireland at all." Tynor didn't look away, he didn't soften, and he didn't speak. The Duke straightened. "You're dismissed from the army, effective immediately." Rowan's breath caught. "You're banishing me." "I am removing a liability," the Duke said, "before you shame this house any further." Tynor stepped forward, his voice low. could have been great, Rowan. You could have stood beside me, but you chose to crawl. Rowan stared at him, the boy who had once been his brother in all but blood, the boy who had shared his meals, his secrets, his childhood, now a stranger, a knight, a weapon. Rowan turned without saluting, without speaking, without looking back. The Duke didn't call after him, and Tynell didn't move. As Rowan walked away from the pavilion, the wall behind him, and disgrace ahead, he heard the Duke's voice carry on the wind. "Set him off the field. He is no longer of Ireland." And Tynell's reply, colder still, "Yes, my lord." Okay, let's get back to the story. First of all, a quick recap. Our party have followed a partial map handed to them by a stranger that Zirac hopes is some kind of link into the Ashen Vale. They follow it through the cellar of the Wildbacks Tavern, into a tunnel system beneath the streets of Carval. Whilst in the cellar, they realise that something had come through from the tunnels and taken the tavern keeper Elsa, a retired female dwarven fighter. Whilst agreeing to see if they can find her, their main aim was to follow the map, hopefully to the Ashen Vale. They see several signs of old guild markings on the walls in the tunnels, and follow the map, eventually coming upon a lit room with signs of recent disturbance and an injured soldier. He tells them there is some kind of monster down the stairs in the prison. So what do our characters do? Well, first of all, we'll give a party status here. This could potentially be the first full-on combat, so it'll be worth knowing what hit points and spells our characters have. So Zirac is on 7 of 7 hit points. Rowan is on 10 of 10 hit points. Rosalind is on 8 of 8 hit points, and she knows the spells Cure Wounds and Holy Weapon. And Jin is on 4 of 4 hit points, and she knows Fog, Eyebright and Cauldron. Okay, Rowan decides he will go down the steps and have a peek at what's down there and then report back. Before doing so, he picks up the discarded sword from the unconscious soldier and the shield leaning against the wall. "Well, if we're going down there, I want a proper weapon." He leaves the Morning Star that he'd come into the tunnels with. "It's not stealing, right? Just a swap, one weapon for another." He creeps down the staircase and sees flickering light ahead. He peeks around the corner. He sees a hallway with what looks like cells either side, maybe 8 in all. Torches in sconces on the walls. And at the far end, well, what is it? I know what it is, but does Rowan? So let's see. So does Rowan know what this monster is? I'll say likely, so that's an oracle roll with advantage for yes. So 2d20, and we get an 8 and an 18, so that is a yes. And what Rowan sees, the air is thick with the stink of damp earth and something far fouler. Rowan eases forward, one hand on the wall, and leans just far enough to glimpse the creature at the far end of the passageway. It is enormous, easily 9 foot tall, even while sitting. Its shoulders are as broad as a doorway, its skin, a mottled grey-green, stretched tight over slabs of muscle. 2 blunt tusks jut from its lower jaw, stained and chipped. Its tiny, deep-set eyes gleam with a dull animal intelligence. And in its hands the size of shovels, it holds a severed arm, chewing lazily at the meat with slow grinding bites. The sound is wet. The smell is worse. A dead soldier lies nearby, crumpled like a discarded doll, armour crushed inward as though by a single massive blow. The creature doesn't even glance at the corpse. It's already moved onto its prize. Rowan catches his breath. An ogre. He's seen ogres before, on the battlefield. He's aware of their power and their strength. A full-blooded brute of the deep places. The creature snorts, sniffing the air. Rowan feels the hairs on his arm rise. It hasn't seen him yet, but it will. All cell doors are open apart from one at the far end, and there's a sack with something in it at the ogre's feet. Rowan creeps back up the steps and tells the rest of the party. "There's an ogre down there," he murmurs, eyes flicking between Jin, Rosalind and Zirek. 9 feet tall, broad as a barn door, and it's eaten one of the soldiers. Jin's face drains of colour. Rosalind says a quiet prayer to herself, and Zirek's eyes narrow, something ancient and dangerous stirring behind them. Rowan readies his bow and with a soft steely whisper says, "Hasn't seen us yet, but it will, and we're not leaving that thing down there. Zirek and I will try and hit it first with bow and crossbow, then we fight it in the stairwell." He squares his shoulders, the soldier in him rising to the surface. "Ready ourselves. We do this clean, and we do it fast. We do it together." The sounds from below continued, slow, methodical, oblivious, but not for long. So the party will decide to follow through on what they have promised they would do, and they're going to take on this ogre, which I have some reservations about, to be honest. This could be the death of one or more of our characters, because if we look at the statistics for an ogre, as per the Shadow Dark rulebook, an ogre has 2 attacks, an armor class of 9, so fairly easy to hit, but it carries a great club, which it has +6 to hit with, which does 2d6 damage. You can easily one hit, one kill any of the characters. He also has 30 hit points. That's quite a lot to get through. His dexterity is poor, which gives him a -1 on initiative, and the party will be using +2 initiative thanks to Rosalind's dexterity. So they should be going first each turn, but they are going to have to make sure they hit, and also they need to try and use whatever advantages they can to take this beast on. So their plan is to go to the bottom of the stairs, take a shot at the ogre, hopefully before it manages to close with them. Rowan has a longbow, Zirek has a crossbow, and then fight in the opening to the stairs, which will narrow the space, meaning just Rowan and Zirek can fight, hopefully with some support. So the party discuss the plan before looking to head down the stairs, but first of all, Rosalind will cast, hopefully, Holy Weapon, which if successful will give +1 to attack and +1 damage to the weapon, which will be very useful. So Rosalind has +3 to this, she needs 11, and she rolls a 10, +3, 13, so that is cast. Ord's light upon the steel, strike true. And Jin says she will cast her spell Fog. Now Fog is a witch spell, tier 1. The duration is focus and the range is close. The description is a thick cloud of fog blooms in the close area around you, making you hard to see, and the cloud moves with you. Attacks against creatures in the cloud have disadvantage. So Jin's idea is that she will stand behind Zirek and Rowan, therefore giving them the benefit of Fog. It's a tier 1 spell, so that's an 11 to cast, and Jin is +3 to cast this, and that is a 14 for a 17, so Fog is cast. Now the duration is focus, that means that Jin cannot cast any other spells, and if she wants to maintain Fog, she will have to roll her casting dice each turn. I'm going to say that the ogre starts at a distance of far, which is roughly 40 feet, which seems fairly appropriate for the length of this hallway where these cells are. And the ogre can only move a distance of near, so even if the ogre wins initiative, it will not be able to attack in the first turn, but it will be able to close the distance. So we'll roll initiative. Party get +1, not +2 as I think I said already, and the ogre gets -1. Okay, the ogre has rolled 19 and the party 15, so 19 -1 is 18, 15 +1 is 16. The ogre does go first, but as I said, all he can do is jump up and run down the corridor towards where the party are, during which time Zirek and Rowan are going to be able to get to shoot with their ranged weapons. So Xerax shoots with his crossbow. There's no bonus to this. The armor class is 9 and he has rolled 13. So that's a hit. And it is a d6 damage. And that is a 6, so that is a great start. Taking 6 hit points off the ogre, who is now down to 24. Rowan will shoot with his longbow. He's a +1 to this, needing a 9. He rolls a 13. And that is a hit. That's a d6 damage. And that's 3 points of damage. So the ogre is now down to 21. So nearly down to a third of the hit points before the actual fight starts. I think we'll take that. Roll for the second round of initiative. The ogre has again rolled high. It's rolled an 18 for a -1 equaling 17. And the party 11 + 1 for 12. So the ogre goes first. Let's randomise to see who the ogre attacks. And 1 to 3 it is Xerax, 4 to 6 it is Rowan, that's a 2. So it is going to attack Xerax. So the ogre has 2 attacks, but it is fighting at disadvantage due to the fog cast by Jin. Xerax's armor class is 13, but the ogre is +6 to hit, so actually only needs a 7. So we'll roll for the first attempt. Okay, that's a 10 + 6 is 16, and a 16 + 6 is 22. That is a hit, and it's 2d6 damage. So the ogre wields its mighty club, swinging it down onto Xerax. Oh dear, and that is a double 6, which means 12 points of damage. Xerax has 7 hit points. Now, here is a little house rule that I'm going to use. Every character has a luck token, which I haven't talked about much yet, because the opportunity hasn't really come up. And a luck token can be used to re-roll any roll that the character makes. But my little house rule, just to help a little with the character's survivability, is to say that they can use that luck roll on any roll made, whether it's their roll or any roll that affects them. So let's re-roll that damage. We'll use Xerax's luck token because he's dead as it stands, or he's certainly down, not quite dead. We'll use the luck token. We rolled 12 before, and we've rolled 11, so it's not helped him. Xerax goes down with a mighty crash as the ogre's club catches him across the face, sending him to the floor. That means with Xerax's next turn, he will need to roll his death timer, and we'll do that as it comes round. Rowan, with rage at seeing his friend fall, will now attack with his sword. Now he has a +1 attack and damage with his longsword by virtue of being a fighter, and he is also +1 with any melee weapon. So that's +2 to attack, +1 to damage. And because Rosalind cast Holy Weapon, that's now +3 attack, +2 damage. So +3 to this roll, needs a 9. He rolls an 18 for a 21, that is a hit. And he is +2 to the d8 damage roll. That's a 1. So it's only a glancing blow, unfortunately, with Rowan's sword. It is +2 though, so that's 3 points of damage. And the ogre is down to 18 points. We'll come to Rosalind. So she isn't a bad fighter herself, and seeing Xerax fall, she will step over him and launch into an attack using the spear that she picked up. She has +3 to attack, and obviously the spear is an unfamiliar weapon in her hands. That's a 3 + 3 for 6, so she misses, unfortunately. Now Jin, her turn. She needs to focus to try and keep the fog going, and that's a 14 + 3 for 17. So yes, Jin manages to keep her concentration despite seeing Xerax fall, and the fog is maintained, which gives the party a semblance of cover. Okay, round 3, initiative. The ogre rolls 7, -1 for 6. The party rolled 13, +1 for 14. So for the first time, the party will go first. And we'll start off with Xerax's death timer, which is a d4 plus his constitution, which is how many turns before he will die. That's a 4 plus 1's for 5. And on each of the subsequent turns, Zerak will roll a d20, and on a 20, he recovers 1 hit point. If he isn't stabilised by another character, or doesn't manage to roll a 20 in those 5 turns, Zerak is unfortunately dead. Okay, let's roll for Rowan's attack. And he rolls 12 plus 3 for 15, and that is a hit. And that's a d8 damage plus 2. And he's rolled a 1 again. I'm not sure that this sword is as sharp as he may have thought. Let's roll Jin's focus. Oh, that's an 8 plus 3 for 11, so she just manages to maintain her focus and keep the fog in place. And Rosalind, she rolls a 6 plus 3, that is just a hit with her spear. The damage roll is a 4, which takes our ogre down to 11. Okay, let's see who the ogre attacks. On a 1 to 3, it's Rowan. On a 4 to 6, it's Rosalind. And there's a 5, so it attacks Rosalind. Now Rosalind doesn't have a very good armour class at all, so this could be very tricky indeed. Her armour class is 12, but it is plus 6 to hit. So the first attack with advantage, and that is a miss actually. So it's a 13 plus 6 for 19, but it's a 5 plus 6 for 11. So that first swing misses. The second attack, wow. So 14 plus 6 is 20, would be a hit. But unfortunately, the ogre has rolled a 1. Plus 6 is 7. Again, there's no critical fail in Shadow Dark as it stands, but a little house rule that I will be pinching from John at Tales of the Manticore and Simon at Legends of the Bones is that on a natural one, the creature or character will miss their next turn of combat. So that is a real boost for the characters. Round 4. Initiative. The ogre rolls 8 minus 1 for 7. And the party roll 8, but plus 1 for 9. Let's roll Zerak's death timer first of all. And that is a 13, so no. He is dying as it stands. Let's roll Jin. She can stabilise Zerak, but she needs to pass DC 15 intelligence check. She has no bonus on her intelligence, which is 10. So it's a straight roll needing a 15 or more. There we go. That is a 17, which is a success, which means that Zerak is currently stabilised. He's still on 0 hit points, so he's unconscious, but he isn't dying. That is a relief. Jin will try and maintain her focus, and that is a 10 plus 3, which means that her fog stays in place. So let's roll for the attacks. Rowan with plus 3 rolls a 6 for plus 3 for 9, so that does just hit, and it's a d8 plus 2 for damage, and that's better. That is 6 plus 2, which unbelievably takes our ogre down to 6. Rosalind with her attack with the spear, a natural 20. Wow. Okay, so in Shadow Dark that means double the damage dice, so we'll roll, instead of 1d6 we're going to roll 2. Well, that could have been better. That's a 1 and a 2 for 3 points of damage, taking our ogre down to 2 points. And because of the ogre's critical fail in the last turn, it gets no attack this turn. Round 5, initiative. The party roll an 18 for plus 1 of 19, and the ogre rolls a 3 minus 1 for 2. It's clearly sagging. Rowan will attack. That's a 16 plus 3 for 19. That is a definite hit. And he's a d8 plus 2 for damage. And there we go, the killing blow. Rowan thrusts forward with his long sword into the chest of the ogre, who cries out and falls down at his feet. Okay, Rosalind will kneel down to the unconscious Zerak and attempt to cast Cure Wounds on him. She failed the first time she tried this. So it's a d20 plus 4. and she needs an 11. She rolls a 13 plus 4 for 17. That's a success, and it's a d6 hit points back, and that is a 4 hit points back. Rosalind moves to Zirek's side with a calm, purposeful grace, the kind she only ever finds when someone is hurt and she can do something about it. She kneels beside him, fingers brushing the cold stone floor before settling gently against his shoulder. His breathing is shallow, his skin is clammy, the wound terrible. The curse that coils through him like smoke seems to pulse faintly beneath the surface. Rosalind closes her eyes. She draws a slow breath, and then she speaks. Her voice is soft but steady, carrying the quiet authority of someone who has prayed through storms and battlefields alike. Ward, keeper of the first light, let your warmth find him. Let your strength mend what is broken. Let your grace call him back to us. As she speaks, a faint glow gathers round her hands, not bright or showy, but warm like the first rays of dawn slipping through shuttered windows. It spreads across Zirek's chest and shoulders, sinking into him like heat into cold iron. The air hums, and the light pulses once. The healing takes hold. The glow deepens for a heartbeat, a soft gold threaded with the faintest hint of white, before flowing into Zirek's body. His wounds knit, his breath steadies, colour returns to his skin, subtle but unmistakable. The curse inside him recoils at the touch of Ward's light, like a shadow shrinking from a lantern. It doesn't vanish, it never does, but it loosens its grip just enough for him to breathe freely. Zirek's eyes flutter open. For a moment, he feels weightless, as though the crushing pressure that always coils around his ribs has eased. The pain dulls, his heartbeat steadies. Warmth spreads through him, unfamiliar but not unwelcome. He exhales a low, rough sound. The world sharpens back into focus. Rosalind's hand is still on his shoulder, steady and grounding. He doesn't smile. He rarely does. But there's a flicker of something in his eyes. Relief or gratitude? Hard to tell. Maybe even a hint of wonder at the light that touched him without burning. Rosalind withdraws her hand, the glow fading. Easy, she murmurs. Ward's not done with you yet. And for once, Zirek almost believes her. As Rosalind was healing Zirek, Rowan goes to the sack and inside finds the unconscious body of Elsa, the dwarf, who had thrown him out of her tavern only a couple of days ago. Then, a voice from inside the only locked cell. I hope you're here to rescue me as well. And this is where we leave the story, for now. The world does not pause when we stop listening. Tonight the dice have spoken, and their verdict stands. Every choice tightens the path ahead, and the dark is learning who you are. Thank you for listening. You'll join me for episode 7 as our characters descend further into the black. Eagle-eared listeners will realise I got some of the maths wrong in that fight with the ogre. I hope it hasn't spoiled your enjoyment too much. And I did get the party's initiative right first time and wrong secondly. They should have been +2 throughout the fight, but I don't think it affected the outcome. If you'd like to leave a review, please do so. I'd love to read your thoughts on how I'm doing. For now, thanks to the Arcane Library. Echoes in the Black is now on YouTube, links in the show notes. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. If you'd like to get in touch, I'm on Instagram at echoesintheblack, or you can email me at echoesintheblack@gmail.com. There is also the Echoes in the Black Facebook group and the Echoes in the Black blog at echoesintheblack.blogspot.com. Till next time, remember, the torch always burns out. The sun was setting behind the Arland Hills when Rowan finally stopped walking. His boots were caked with mud, his cloak torn, his armour dented from a battle he'd won and a life he'd lost. The war was over, but the words still rang in his skull like a hammer on an anvil. You are no longer of Ireland. He'd walked until the banners disappeared behind the horizon. He kept walking until the ache in his chest dulled into something he could ignore. He walked until the road forked, north to the capital, south to the coast, west to the mountains, and east to Carval. He didn't choose Carval, his feet did. By the time he reached the city's outskirts, night had fallen. Lanterns flickered in the windows of taverns and brothels, and the smell of wood smoke and spilled ale drifted through the streets. Rowan pushed open the door of the first tavern he found, the All-Seeing Eye, and stepped inside. The warmth hit him like a punch, and so did the noise. Laughter, shouting, tankards slamming on tables, life, chaos, everything his father despised. Rowan dropped a few coins on the counter, and the barkeep slid him a tankard without a word. He drank hard. The ale was cheap and bitter, but it burned away the taste of disgrace. He drank again and again. By the fourth tankard, the room had softened around the edges, and by the fifth, it stopped hearing his father's voice. By the sixth, it stopped caring about Sir Tynor Gildane, the boy who'd once been his brother. He was halfway through the seventh when someone bumped into him. A girl, no, a young woman, with a mop of white hair, a grin too wide for her face, and a purse that jingled suspiciously. "Sorry," she chirped, but she didn't sound sorry at all. Rowan blinked at her. "Watch where you're..." He stopped. His coin purse was lighter. She winked. Rowan sighed. "Give it back." She held up her hands. "Give what back?" He stared. She stared. The barkeep stared. Finally she groaned, reached into her sleeve, and dropped the purse on the counter. "You're no fun," she muttered. Rowan took a long drink. "I'm not here to be fun." She slid onto the bar stool beside him. "You look like someone who lost the war." He snorted. "I won the war." "And why do you look like that?" Rowan didn't answer. She didn't push. After a moment, she stuck out a hand. "I'm Jin. How about I read your fortune for a coin?" He hesitated and then shook it. "Rowan, but I know my fortune already, thank you very much." She grinned. "You are terrible at drinking alone. Lucky for you, I'm excellent company." He tried to glare, but it didn't work. She ordered 2 more tankards with his money and pushed one towards him. They drank in silence for a while. Not comfortable silence, but not painful either. Eventually Jen nudged him with her elbow. "So, you're running from something?" Rowan stared into his ale. "Everything." She nodded like that made perfect sense. "Good, then you won't judge me for doing the same." He looked at her properly then, really looked, and saw the sharpness behind the grin, the hunger behind the bravado, the loneliness behind the noise. Something in him softened, not much, but just enough. "You shouldn't pick pockets in a place like this," he said. "You shouldn't drink yourself to death in one," she shot back. He huffed a laugh, and she smirked. And somewhere between the 7th and 8th tankard, Rowan Kelsey, disgraced son of a duke, exile of Ireland, found the first person in years who didn't care who he was supposed to be, just who he was. By dawn they were still sitting at the bar. By noon they were travelling together, and by the end of the week Rowan realised he was watching over Jin the way he wished someone would watch over him, and by the end of the month she was the closest thing he had to a family.